welcome to my long overdue office tour. Now this room has been in the works and it's still not done, but it had been too long, so we're showing you what we got, but let's get into it. So when I moved into this house, this was always going to be my office, but it was not anything like this. The walls were different colors, nothing was really set up, and then as I started painting, I went with a black and white color theme. I like the black and white muted colors so that I can add some contrast, but also not be overbearing. And then a lot of natural wood. So I have a couple of different wood pieces around that we'll get into, but this is an office that I use for my everyday work from home setup, as well as content here on my YouTube channel. And I needed it to be functional in both of those scenarios. Something I could set up a camera and record, as well as be productive and focused throughout the day. So looking at the actual desk, I am going to do a full desk setup tour, but this is what I got at the moment. This desktop itself is from IKEA, and the desk drawers and desk base are from something I ordered off of Wayfair a couple years ago. Screwed the two of them together, and that's my desk. And driving this whole setup is the M1 Mac Mini. You can see that here on the desk and all of the cables going off the side. That's one area that I know I need to improve is my cable management. I have some of the things to do that, just haven't gotten around to it. But right now, they're tucked off the side of the desk and out of the way, so it's not too messy, but it is something I need to work on. I then have the iPad Pro set up in sidecar for most of the day. And while I am working from home here, this camera, which is the Fuji X-T3 with the 23mm f2 lens on it, which right now it's a 16, but normally the 23mm is up on the back there looking at me as my webcam, and I use the iPad Pro as the monitor for my conference calls. So I have everybody here on this screen, and I still have my main monitor for all of my productivity, seeing other content, and being productive. In terms of audio, I am using the Rode PodMic into the Rode A1 audio interface. In terms of the keyboard, this is from Sateki. It mimics the one from Apple, it mimics their Apple keyboard, but is a little bit cheaper, and it allows me to be connected to multiple devices. So when I'm using the iPad not in sidecar and as an iPad, if I ever want to focus on that and type away at emails or anything else, I can go ahead and switch devices really quickly, and it works from there. In terms of the mouse, this is a Logitech mouse. This is not the ever popular Master M3, but this is one that again connects to multiple devices and has been really good for me, and I like it. And I'll go into more of how I use all of this in a full desk setup tour, but that's the highlights of what I got going on. So moving on over underneath the prints that I have, these are both photos from a trip that I took out to the Colorado Rockies. Underneath that, I have a bunch of cameras. These are all my Nikon cameras. It's funny because I actually identify as a Fuji user, but I have 4 Nikon cameras and technically 2 Fuji cameras, but it kind of is what it is. I have my Nikon FM, Nikon N70, Nikon D70, Nikon D5300, as well as a little Fuji point and shoot over there. These are on display and I pick them up and use them in different ways every once in a while, but I really like the way that they look here on the shelf. Underneath is my main gear shelf. I keep these a little bit more safe and secure so things don't get dropped on them. This is where all of my Fuji lenses live. I am going to be doing a what's in my camera bag. I'm getting ready to go on a trip here, so I'm going to do a what's in my travel camera bag. I think next week is going to be when that comes out. So make sure and hit subscribe because you'll know all of the gear that I have for the Fuji system. But again, I have my lenses, I have my Osmo Action, and a couple of bags with accessories in them. I also have a couple of other gear pieces. This is kind of like my retro tech space. I have some old school Apple keyboards, my very first Apple MacBook, as well as my unibody MacBook Pro, and that is the heat that I need to turn off. All right, there we go. So like I was saying, I have 2 very old MacBooks there. The MacBook Pro is the mid-2012 edition, and it's still kicking. I still use it every once in a while. I use it for a long time for at least offboarding my footage and photos to my NAS system, and it's done great for that up to this point. I am now using the Mac Mini for that, but it's still doing great. And then down below I do have just general office supplies, nothing too exciting there. So let's head over to my bookshelf. So this is where I let a little bit of my nerdiness come through, starting with some Legos. This is one that I just recently did. This is part of the NASA setup from Lego, and that is going to be proudly displayed here on my bookshelf. I do have that next to all of my photo books, and this is just where I like to come. I pull one of these out every once in a while, flip through them, and just be inspired, especially if I'm about to go on a trip where I'm going to be doing some landscape photography. I'll go ahead and I'll pull one of the landscape photo books. If I'm going to go do some street photography, I might pull something like one of these from either Sean Tucker or the Humans in New York, and really try and be inspired by that type of photography before I head out. And then there's all sorts of knickknacks for my travels. So this is holy water from Costa Rica. These are little cups that we got in Abu Dhabi. And moving on down a little bit, let's see if I can get you there. I do have some baseball things down here. I am a big baseball fan. Go Atlanta Braves, World Series champions. I have some things from the Diamondbacks. I grew up in Arizona, so I have things there. I live in Chicago, so I have some Cubs things. And again, it's just a passion of mine, a hobby of mine, and I like having things around me that keep me motivated and keep me happy and joyful while I'm trying to be productive and work. And then all the way down here is my NAS system. I've done a video on this and how I have it set up and use it with my iPad. You can check that out in the link up there and down in the description. But that sits here, that allows me to stay connected. I do have the Ethernet cable running down the side connected to the Mac Mini, so it is hardwired in. I don't have to use Wi-Fi for all of that, but router's right next to it and plugged in there as well. Now here in the closet, these doors still need to be painted. Haven't really decided what I want to do with these yet. I might actually end up taking them off, but in the closet is a lot of storage. I'll go ahead and not show you that because it's a total disaster and still a project that needs to be done. Like I said, there's more that I want to do here. Speaking of projects and next steps within this office space, I'm gonna flip you around and talk about the studio. And this is back to the studio setup. So obviously my desk, but a different angle that I can use for these YouTube videos. Often I will have this camera over on that side going the other direction, but a little bit of just options for me here in the studio. Again, there are still projects that I want to do here and ways to improve this. I'm sure the audio in here isn't great. There's probably some echo going on, hard surfaces and things like that, so I want to figure out some ways to fix that. I do have a carpet on the ground, but more to do there. Additionally, this black wall, it could use some personality. So there's going to be some more work and projects along those lines, but this is really serving a great purpose of being that work from home desk setup as well as the studio setup to make content here on YouTube. So that's currently my office and a little bit of how it came together over the last few months. If you have any questions or ideas of what to do with this back wall, make sure and leave those down in the comments below. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. But until next time, I'm gonna go make something. I hope you do too.